Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב
Please be seated. It's the darkest day of the year. And indeed, our lives and our hearts are darkened as we gather today, because we have lost a great light within our community, within our congregation, and within this beautiful and loving family which sits here in the front row of our sanctuary. On our holiday of light, here we are, the 7th day of Hanukkah. We are reminded that our job is to bring light into the world, a world that can often seem so very dark. Steve figured out how to do that. He brought us light through his love and his friendship and his care, his insightfulness, his thoughtfulness, his humor, his generosity. In so many ways, he brought light to our lives, to our community, to his family. We are here to remember him and to say farewell with a lot of honor and love and light. Dear God, as we gather today, we thank you. We thank you for the many blessings that Steve brought to our lives. We thank you for the many memories that we bring to this place. We thank you for the companionship that we shared along the path of life. Indeed, just in the last half hour or so, I heard so many of you reflect on good times shared together, years, decades, raising children and being part of the same community. So many blessings he brought to us. God, we thank you for the many gifts of Steve's heart and mind and body that brought us joy and happiness. And so for all these and more on this difficult day, God, we nonetheless give you thanks. And we turn to ancient words of our Psalms as we try to find meaning and comfort at a time of loss. The Psalms were written by Jews 3,000 years ago and more, Jews who, just like us, experienced times of loss and darkness. And they wrote about what it felt to walk through that valley of shadows. And nonetheless, they also knew and wrote that we hold on to hope and love and find comfort in togetherness and in God. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach be'etzat rishayim uvaderech hata'im lo amad. Happy are those who have not followed the counsel of the wicked, or taken the path of sinners, or joined the company of the insolent. Rather, happy are those who delight in the teaching of God and who study that teaching day and night. They are like trees planted by streams of water, whose fruit flourishes, whose foliage never fades. Yes, those who live in this way shall never be shaken. And the 23rd Psalm. Adonai ro'i lo echsar, binot desha yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenachaleni nafshi yeshovev. Yancheni v'magle tzedek lema'an shemo, gam ki elech begates al mavet lo ira ra ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai, v'tishanta v'shemen roshi kosi rivaya. Ach tov v'chesed yerdefuni kol yamei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai la'orech yamim. God is my shepherd, I shall lack for nothing. God helps me lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside still waters and restores my soul. God, you lead me in the right paths for the sake of your name. And even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you, God, are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Amen. And our final biblical passage today is from the book of Ecclesiastes. He was a man who lived more than 2,000 years ago in our holy city of Jerusalem. He lived a long life, and he saw so much in his days on earth. And he bequeathed to us these iconic words. L'kol zman ve'et l'chol chefetz tachat hashamayim, et laledet ve'et lamut, et latat ve'et la'akor natua, et lifrotz ve'et livnot, et livkot ve'et lischok, et spod ve'et rakod. For every single thing, there's a season. There's a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak. And so speak we shall of our beloved Steve Eliot, who was husband of Suzanne, father of Peter and Lana, Andy and Samantha, Megan and Alex, grandfather of Clara, Paulina, Hazel, Zoe, Clay, April, and Alec, uncle, brother, and friend. I first met Steve in 2018, just following his great niece Maddie's bat mitzvah. Steve's physical capacities were declining, as all of you know. And as you also know, he was always looking for the next endeavor for his life. So he came to see me. Well, we quickly discovered just how much we had in common. We learned that we had grown up just 2 blocks away from one another in Great Neck. True story. And we had graduated from the same high school where he was captain of the baseball team, and so was I. We shared so much beyond our Great Neck roots, though. I loved how Steve truly cared about people. I loved how he wanted to know what motivated them, what they valued most, what caused them pain, and what brought them joy. And I loved his determination, that he would not let his physical incapacities stop him for one moment. Steve was born on May 25th, 1945, to Ruth and Alfred. His parents were political lefties. Ruth, a smart, funny, free-spirited designer. Alfred, a partner in an ad agency. Since Steve arrived just 2 weeks after the U.S. won World War II in Europe, they gave him the middle name Victor. He spent his early years with his older twin sisters on the Upper West Side, Liz and Peggy. When Steve was 7, the family moved to Great Neck, to North Drive, which was just 2 blocks away from my street, Beverly Road. He went to the local elementary school in Kensington, and then to Great Neck South. As I mentioned, and as all of you know, Steve was a brilliant athlete, and he captained the baseball and basketball teams. And at Great Neck South, what an American suburban story. He fell in love with the captain of the cheerleading squad. That's Suzanne. They quickly knew that they would be together forever. And they married just after graduating college in the summer of 1967. Steve had a wonderful professor at Trinity College who interested him in psychology. He had always found it quite natural to talk to people and was always fascinated by human nature. Not to mention that at that time, going to grad school got you a draft exemption. So that's what Steve did. And generations of his patients, not to mention his mentees at the Westchester Center for the Study of Psychoanalysis, are eternally grateful that he did. Athletics was such an important part of Steve's identity, and he would often tell of the tryout he had with the Atlanta Braves. But sadly, Steve's body began to betray him at an early age. It was tragic and unfair. And it pained Steve mentally even more than it did physically. Nonetheless, Steve always found ways to stay positive and engaged. When he could no longer play baseball, he got into tennis. When he could no longer play tennis, he took up golf. When he could no longer golf, he tried fishing and got to know so much of Long Island Sound. And I think ping pong was somewhere in that list as well. Steve, as you all know, was sweet and caring and empathetic and kind. And even as his body betrayed him, he fought with determination. He began a wonderful next chapter of his life when all three of his and Suzanne's kids moved to be close to their parents. And of course, they brought their grandchildren along as well, and you all became such an important part of your grandfather's life. As I told the Eliots, I know a lot of families. And the fact that all three of their kids chose and decided to live nearby is an extraordinary testament to the two of them as parents. Steve was not raised religious, but he would always remark that he felt very Jewish. And as his health began to decline, he engaged with Judaism like never before. Steve loved feeling a part of something greater than himself, like the Temple Israel community, the Jewish people worldwide and throughout history, or even, as he himself eventually admitted, feeling close to God. Steve clearly found a degree of comfort and strength right here in this sanctuary, as he came often for Shabbat services. And when he couldn't come, he was often participating via our live stream. He became a regular presence here at Temple Israel and was eager to give back to our TI community as well. He even volunteered to support those who were lonely during the pandemic. I spoke to Steve regularly and called him just about 2 weeks ago. He couldn't wait to get out of the hospital because, as always, he had plans. He told me about all the things he was going to start doing once he was out and healthy. And I, of course, was thrilled to hear about all of it and look forward to cheering him on as he set the course ahead. So it came as great surprise to me, as I'm sure it did to all of you, to learn of Steve's death this past Thursday. I considered him and will always consider him a friend. And now I'm pleased to invite Andy to the bima.
I wrote a note to myself at the top saying, "Stay loose," because that was something my dad used to say to me before tennis matches. My dad had a saying when people came to his house, family and friends and whoever, he would say, "You're welcome to stay as long as you want, but once you say you're going, you have 5 minutes to leave." He didn't like saying goodbye to people that he loved. I think I inherited that from him because I don't like saying goodbyes either. And this is the hardest one that I've ever had to say. So bear with me if the wheels come off a little bit. And also bear with me if I go on longer than I should. ChatGPT says eulogy shouldn't last more than 7 minutes. But I fear I may miss the mark on timing. Sort of like when I would go fishing with my dad and tell him I needed to be back at the dock by 2 p.m. And at 3 p.m., I'd find myself in a boat on the other side of Long Island Sound. My dad with zero intention of returning anytime soon. Thank you all for being here. It's a great comfort to be surrounded by friends and family and so many people who loved my dad and he loved, and also people who didn't know him, who are here to support our family. Rabbi Friedman, thank you very much, not just for conducting this service, but extending your friendship and counsel to my father. As you said, you started a long time ago, and as you said, my dad was not raised a religious man, but he identified strongly with being Jewish, and particularly with you. And he was very spiritual in a way, and philosophical, and he admired your intelligence and your wisdom. And I actually remember him telling me once after having a meeting with you, when things were very difficult, he said, Rabbi Friedman is very wise. And he added, also, did you know he's like a 3 or 4 handicap in golf? He loved sports, as you know. My dad was a very accomplished man, athlete in his younger years and professional career as a clinical psychologist, where his livelihood was helping others, which was very fitting for him. But what mattered to him most were his personal relationships, the people he loved, his family, his friends, and he was fortunate in this regard. He was fortunate to spend almost the entirety of life with his love of his life, my mom. The last 5 years have been very difficult and painful for us all to watch him struggle, and you stood by his side every step of the way. Every step of the way. And in a lot of private moments with him, between me and him, when he was really struggling, he would inevitably turn to expressing his concern for you and how hard this was on you. He was blessed with loving parents, as the rabbi mentioned, 2 loving sisters, 2 loving brothers-in-law, and loving nieces and nephews, Jem, Jono, Emily, Ben. He loved all of you so much, and some of the best times in his life really were when we were all together, and we all got to grow up together, and we all came back, including our cousins too. Sam and Lana and Alex, you were all so good to him. He loved each of you, and he loved when we had these additions to the family, and you were courageous to join this family. He loved you all. Let's talk about the grandkids. Clara, Paulina, Hazel, Zoe, Clay, April, Alec. Called him Day-Day, coined by Clara. He loved it so much, he insisted that all the other grandkids call him that as well. If a stranger took my dad's boasting about his grandkids seriously, they'd think we had 7 child prodigies in the family. And even as his physical limitations worsened, he was such a dedicated grandfather. For example, he made it to dozens of Hazel's soccer games, even in a wheelchair. He came rain or shine, trudging through the grass, sometimes with me pushing him to make it to the sideline. And he generally kept his sideline conduct in check too, with a couple exceptions. Like the time he shouted to me loudly in front of all the other parents, Andy, Hazel's the smartest player on the team and the best passer. Or the time he struck up a conversation with a 14-year-old sideline referee, telling him what a great job he was doing because other parents were getting on him, and that was just like him. The kid was appreciative and didn't seem to mind when my dad then asked him how much he got paid per game. He came to watch Clay play tennis in a wheelchair, when he was in a wheelchair, somehow convinced the tyrannical woman at the front desk to actually let him wheel his chair onto the court so he could get a better view. And aside, I remember when Sam was pregnant with Clay and we found out we were having a boy. I called my parents. My mom answered the phone, and my dad obviously overheard and was clearly in the throes of watching the NBA Finals. He jumped up on the call and said, Andy, you should name him LeBron. I met him halfway and gave Clay the middle name James. Clay said to me the other day, it's not fair that we had too little time with Day-Day. I'm right there with you, buddy. Guys, remember that Day-Day's kind and loving spirit is in all of you, and will serve you all well. My dad had various passions and hobbies that he was passionate about. Some of them probably better defined as obsessions, especially if you look at the DSM-4. I think of the Stuart Scott lines from SportsCenter. You could try to stop him, but you can only hope to contain him. He was devoted Yukon Huskies fan for years. Several years ago, he told Pete, Meg, and I that he was creating a blog in quotes, where he planned to post game summaries and analysis, and he was sure he would amass a huge following. We were skeptical. What he did was create a massive email distribution list. It included virtually every person he knew on Earth, and he sent out mass emails after each game, referring to himself as a blogger. He ignored us when we pointed out that this was not a blog, and that the dozens of people who were on his email were not subscribers, as he called them, particularly because they had never volunteered to sign up. It didn't deter him, and he marched on, all while becoming increasingly annoyed and angry that only, maybe not angry, but only 2 or 3 people of the dozens he was emailing would respond. My cousin Jem reminded me this week that my dad even threatened to sanction him by removing him from his blog list. I tried to soften the blow, pointing out to him that of the dozens of people on the list, there was only a handful who followed college basketball, and likely only 3 Yukon fans, 2 of whom were his sons. My dad loved fishing. As you heard, he was an avid fisherman. For years, he went alone sometimes, several times a week, often with me or Pete or family members or friends. One of his proud moments was when a local fisherman gave him his list of secret codes for fishing spots on the Sound, because my dad had passed information to him about locating fish. He bragged about it for years. For many years, I would go out on fishing trips with my dad, sometimes with other people, sometimes just the 2 of us, for long hours. And I had been thinking about those trips, and I realized something I probably knew all along, but hadn't really thought about, which is I didn't actually love fishing as much as my dad did. I just loved fishing with him. My dad also took joy in seemingly simple things, the beauty of nature, watching and listening to the surf at Ballston Beach, or watching a robin build a nest outside his window. He'd philosophize about why some of these things were so amazing. He loved sports trivia. The more esoteric, the better. I was with him in the hospital a few weeks ago watching the World Series, and he started quizzing me on the Brooklyn Dodgers. He chastised me for not knowing the entire lineup for the 1957 Dodgers, including positions and jersey numbers, even after I reminded him I wasn't born until 1974. One of his greatest simple pleasures was to have a catch. Even in a wheelchair, including just a few months ago, he would ask me if I wanted to have a catch with him, and I always said yes. And we would sit about 5 feet apart, me standing, him in his wheelchair, and he would insist that we put our baseball mitts on, even though they weren't needed, and we tossed back and forth, talking or just thinking. It was a little heartbreaking for me, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Sorry. I've mentioned my dad being in a wheelchair, which happened almost 5 years ago, but that leaves out a big part of the story, the most incredible part. After some doctors said he wouldn't walk again, he proved them wrong. 2 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and lots of physical pain, emotional pain, and he did it. It was heart-wrenching to watch at times, but it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and it was a lesson to the rest of us about what can be accomplished through grit and determination. I'm moving along. I'm getting there. My dad loved to tell old stories over again and again and again and again. During one of my last visits with him, he retold me one of his all-time favorites, and he started in that old familiar way. And have I ever told you the Jackie Robinson story? Some of you are laughing because you probably heard it. As if I hadn't heard it, tell me it 100 times. And then, as he always did, he didn't wait for my answer. He just started telling it. The story is that when he was 12, he was invited on a television show called Happy Felton's Knothole Gang, sponsored by the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was their biggest fan. You'd go to a tryout a few kids, and they picked the most skilled player, and they got to go into the Dodgers dugout and meet the players. Not a small thing for him. They had a roster full of superstars, Roy Campanella, Don Newcomb, etc. But his hero was Jackie Robinson. Then when he got to meet the players in the dugout, some walked right by him and others gave him a quick head nod or hey kid, but not Jackie. Jackie walked up to him and shook his hand, asked him about his Little League team, what position he played. He even asked to hold my dad's glove, giving it a few pounds and saying, great job breaking in your mitt. I think about why this story left such an indelible mark on my father, so much so that he told it throughout the years, even until he was 80. I think it's because he loved and respected the way his hero had treated him, how he treated people in general, even strangers, kindness and respect, and he modeled his own behavior after that, his whole life. My dad coached my travel soccer team for 4 seasons when I was 9 or 10. He volunteered for this role amidst a busy work life, 3 kids. He knew precisely nothing about soccer. But he was a natural-born coach and a quick study. He had a talent for coaching. He had a way of connecting with kids, encouraging and motivating them without ever shouting at them. He actually mentioned to me several times over the years that if he hadn't been a psychologist, he would have loved to have been a basketball coach. We ended up winning 2 state championships during his tenure, and we were runners-up a 3rd year, and he was proud of this. And just recently was in the hospital, he started reminiscing about this, and in classic style, he was reviewing the lineup with me, second-guessing himself on coaching decisions more than 40 years earlier. This was just like him. He'd say, looking back, I should have started Stern at center midfield and Forbes at sweeper. But this time he told me a story, or part of this story that I hadn't heard before, or maybe had forgotten. He employed his own rule as a coach that every kid on the team had to play at least 20 minutes per game. We were in our 3rd state finals in 4 seasons, and we're tied with 10 minutes to go, looking for the three-peat, when he had the second-string players stand up to go into the game to get their 20 minutes. Many of the parents were apoplectic and were giving him hell, telling him they needed to leave the starters in, but he ignored them and put the second-string players in, and we lost in the final minutes. Some of the parents wouldn't even talk to him, but he also told me about what he observed with the players after. Within 5 minutes of losing the state championship, my teammates and I were all happily playing together on a playground adjacent to the soccer field, having a great time. It was only the parents who were upset, not the kids. And he recounted this story in a misty-eyed sort of way, and I loved the story. Almost done. He lived his life with tremendous character, integrity, and kindness. Jackie Robinson was my dad's hero, and my dad was my hero. I know he wasn't a perfect person, and he didn't think he was a perfect person, but for me, he pitched a perfect game as a dad. Always had my back, always there for me every phase of my life, through every disappointment, success, every crossroads, every difficult decision. He was there helping me, supporting me, talking through things with me, giving me his advice, and helping me to guide my own ship. I love you, Dad. Thanks for being my father.
They called him Day-Day, Steve Areno. I heard his father, Fredo, sometimes call him Slim or Cool C's. I had the privilege of calling him Dad. Steve loved life. He was not ready to leave it. He would never have been ready to leave it. Not at 90, not at 100, not ever. Just on Wednesday, he was telling me, I really think our family should try to get on Family Feud. I think we would be really good at it. The week before that, he was pitching me an idea for a sitcom. Okay, it's about a guy who goes to the hospital, and the main character was based on Steve. Steve loved a good shtick. He dressed up in Elvis costumes. He performed song and dance routines at his wedding anniversary party. I recall several phone calls from Steve that started with, Pete, if you're not comfortable with this idea, let me know. But I thought we'd do a performance, and you, Andy, and Meg could be backup singers. I think he wanted Mom to wear a cheerleader outfit. Who could forget his Thanksgiving contests? They started as trivia contests, middle names, birthdays, and eventually progressed to the ridiculous shoe competition, where every guest was asked to take off one of their shoes so that we could have a contest matching the shoe with the person. Steve dyed his hair orange accidentally one summer at Cape Cod. A lesser man would have been embarrassed by it. The entire family was in stitches for days. Steve loved it. He lived for the spotlight. He knew when he had something hilarious going, and he milked it shamelessly. Andy and I were at the hospital to watch the UConn game with him a couple of weeks ago. He started rating the players on a 1 to 10 scale by their looks. Caravan is not classically handsome, but still, I give him a 7. Solo Ball is a very handsome guy. Steve was a legendary athlete, from Allenwood Park to Great Neck South to Trinity to the tennis courts. His college baseball coach, who had played in the majors, told Steve that he had major league hands. The one-handed backhands, the nothing but net basketball shots, gold glove plays at shortstop. He was gifted. He loved it, and people loved watching him love it. And such it was with his life itself. He loved it, and we loved watching him love it. He was an insightful sports analyst and sports psychologist as well. We heard about the blog with the famous tagline. You heard it here first, with pinpoint analysis of the games. Watching sporting events with Steve was a great joy. He loved to analyze the games and the players. He fantasized about being a television sports personality. Later in life, he enjoyed pétanque tournaments, ping pong, or just having a catch. This summer, he came over to try playing tennis in a wheelchair. He was thinking about getting special lessons and playing in a league. His physical challenges did not dim his horizons. Steve had a vivacious mind. He was always on the go. In Cape Cod, he would be up at dawn to bring muffins from the bakery. He was full of ideas. Not all of them were so wonderful. Floor No More, his innovative design for handheld cups to pee into, would make Kramer from Seinfeld blush. I can't tell you how many times he would tell me, Pete, I have an idea I want to talk to you about. I'm serious. I really think I should talk to a patent attorney about this one. There's so many wonderful memories I have of Steve appreciating the magic of life. I treasure these moments. His smile. He understood awe and wonder. He lived it. Steve loved to fish. He was telling me about it on Wednesday. He loved everything about it, the boat, the bluefish, the stripers, lighting a cigar when we were out on the quahog, gridding for fish. And say, I love it when you get them on top. It's so exciting. Steve loved the Cape. You know, the beach is just spectacular. Every time we walked over the dunes at Ballston Beach, 100 times, he had that gleam in his eye. He would say, oh my God, when we came over the dunes. He loved going to baseball games, looking at the perfect field. He liked getting there early so he could see the players warm up. Look at how they throw. He told me many times about the first time he saw Ebbets Field and how special that was to him. And he played on that field. As we heard, he won a fielding competition on Happy Feltons. First prize was you could choose someone to spend time with on the roster. He got to meet his hero, Jackie, and he got to choose one other player. And another exceptional quality about Steve, he inherited his father Fred's quirky contrarian streak and knack for seeing something special in unexpected places. A streak that lives on in his children and grandchildren. A true Eliot trait. Steve could have chosen, as we heard, Don Drysdale, Carl Erskine, Sandy Koufax, Roy Campanella, Gil Hodges, Pee Wee Reese, Duke Schneider. Dad chose Jake Pittler, the first base coach. Thought, he's a coach, he'll know more. We should all be so lucky in life to have the perfect realization of a dream come true where you seek something out and make it happen perfectly. And Steve had that. He liked to hunt for what he called sleepers. He dreamed of walking into a dive restaurant to discover a hidden gem. One summer, 1982, he saw a sign for Al's Hamburgs at a dumpy roadside joint on Route 6 in Cape Cod. He went in, he made a crazy video interviewing the new owner, And of course, that became Moby Dick's, the best seafood restaurant on the Outer Cape. And for the next 40 years, Steve was royalty at Moby Dick's in Truro. On summer nights, there would be an hour-long wait time to get in, and Steve would get to bring his entire family and cut the line as a reward for being Moby's first customer. Steve found his sleeper, and it paid a lifetime dividend in lobsters and fried clams. And he loved it. He loved watching the birds work. He loved Pam at Harper. He loved Bob Dylan's songs, and he loved his family like nothing else. Mom, the kids, he adored his grandchildren. He would tell me about each of them. Clara said the most amazing thing to me, Paulina is so beautiful. Look at how Alec can concentrate. He was so proud of them. He would marvel at the things they would say and do. Steve was a profound man. There was no one better to turn to if you were worried about something or feeling sad about something. His empathy was like the ocean, vast and powerful. It's no wonder we have a packed house today. He taught me many important things. In difficult life decisions, always go with your gut. Talk about your feelings, especially when you're angry with someone you love. Apologize, forgive. That your children are separate from you. He was proud of us, but he didn't claim our successes and failures as his own. He let us chart our own courses and have our own failures. He taught us what it means to be a wonderful father, grandfather, and husband. He was attuned to emotion. He marveled at the power of the subconscious. He was exceptionally sensitive to other people's feelings, and he cared about them. It's why so many people turn to him for friendship, for comfort, for advice, for understanding. His friends are proud to be his friend. From a young age, I understood that everyone had deep respect for Steve. It's a powerful and special gift to have a father like that to look up to. Young and old, family and friends, he commanded respect by the simple virtue of his kindness, sensitivity, and empathy. What a role model. People spend their lives doing all kinds of different things. Steve was dedicated to the human heart, to healing, to guiding and loving his family, and to being a good friend. He was loved, admired, and respected because of this. If that's not the mark of greatness and a life well lived, then I don't know what is. And he was the best father a son could ever have. Once when I was a teenager, I was upset, I was hurting about something, I was ashamed, and I felt intensely vulnerable. He told me, your feelings mean everything to me, and I will always, always be on your side, no matter what. With a dad like that, I could never lose. On Wednesday, we held hands. He told me that he was so proud of me, and I told him that I loved him so much. Dad, we're going to remember you for all of that and much more, and we're going to miss you. Your kind and passionate and loving soul will stay with us forever. So through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing you and loving you, and may your memory be a blessing.
I invite Megan to the bema.
I've been trying the last few days to find the right anecdote, the right adjective to capture my father, but I'm afraid my brain just isn't quite working that way yet. I know he would want me to get up and say something today, though, because if nothing else, he was a person who unapologetically enjoyed hearing nice things said about him. So I think this is what I'd like to share today. My father knew how to show love. He did this in casual ways, always telling us how proud he was, how much he enjoyed having us near, how well taken care of he felt by his family during his illness. A quick Sunday night dinner might result in getting the following email the next day. Dear Alex and Megan, 2 sensational, beautiful meals in a row. How lucky we are to be able to enjoy both feasts. You're both so loving and amazing. or Yom Kippur email we received last year. Dearest family, since today is not just a day of atonement but of introspection, I wanted to share that despite all my medical issues in the past 5 years, my first thought when I woke up this morning was that I'm lucky to be alive, free of cancer and blessed with a loving wife, 3 wonderful adult children, and their 3 wonderful spouses. In addition, I thought of each of our 7 grandchildren, so unique, loving, talented, and blessed with humor. I wish you all health and happiness in the new year. Love, Dad, Steve, Day Day. He shared his feelings in more serious ways, too. He was adept at making space for a meaningful conversation. Over the years, inviting reflection about our relationship with each other, insisting I tell him why I was angry about something or disappointed in him. I won't forget the few times he pulled me aside when he was concerned about choices I was making. He did that with a lot of humility and humor and love. None of us will forget the psychological train ride from Philadelphia, a process group led by Steve, an in-depth analysis of our family dynamic. A quick stop at the house in recent years often turned into an hours-long conversation about intergenerational patterns in the family. It could be inconvenient. In the last few years, I often ran over to his house, kids in tow, trying to dispense medication to him. And in the midst of wrangling the kids to get their shoes on, he would turn to me and say, Meg, all youngest siblings must think they had it the hardest, don't you think? Or do you think Peter thought his role was harder? I say, Dad, great question, but it's not the best time. Like, let me get the kids out the door. But he wanted to hear it all, to examine it all, to talk about it all together. I'm so grateful to him. I'm so grateful to him for being the kind of person who made space to say both loving and difficult things to each other. It means I get to say goodbye now without much left unsaid between us. We knew how we felt about each other. To my mom and brothers, I know that Dad felt well taken care of and loved by each of us these past few years, even though there's always more we wish we could have done. I know he felt that way. To April and Zoe and all the grandkids, he loved you fiercely and delighted in you and all your accomplishments, and he appreciated each of your unique qualities, your personhood. Alex, he was so proud that you were his son-in-law. He admired the thoughtful and helpful member of the family you've become, and he just thought you were the most amazing father. As I've read letters from colleagues and friends, the messages the past couple days, and as I look out now and see all of you, I know he did this sharing not just with us, not just with his family, but everywhere. I think people enjoyed being around him because he was fun and funny and outrageous, but also because he knew how to be vulnerable and how to invite others to do the same. I'm grateful to him for teaching me how to show love and build connection in this way. In the profession that my father and I shared, therapists talk about a phenomenon we call the doorknob comment. It's when your patient says the most important words of the session with their hand on the doorknob as they're leaving your office. The last conversation I had in person with my father was in his hospital room on Tuesday night. And as I walked out of the room, he called out, "I tried to be a good dad." And I responded, "Well, you succeeded. You were an excellent dad." And we exchanged "I love yous." I can't really think of any more important element to a life well lived than to be loved and to know that you're loved. And we both get to have that because my dad knew how to say it and how to help me say it. So, Dad, one last time, you did good. We love you. You will be deeply, deeply missed. And you'll always be with us in the way that we know how to love each other.
Our final eulogy this afternoon, we invite Steve's dear friend Ben Cohen to the bima.
It's a hard act to follow, these three. For me, there will never be another Steve. Steve and I met in college through our two girlfriends, Sue and Joan, who became close friends at Skidmore College, and the four of us instantly bonded. That's a million years ago. I don't think you want me to sit here and hear all about the 60 years of our longtime friendship, so I'm going to try and make this as brief as possible. We both got married in the same summer, right after the girls had graduated from college, and children followed shortly thereafter. When our kids were little, we spent wonderful summer vacations together up in Wellfleet, Truro, Martha's Vineyard, and even the Jersey Shore. When the children grew older, and we did too, we started traveling around the world with the foursome of us and exploring different places in the world. Steve was always our de facto leader. Wasn't said, but it was there. And his leadership led to tons of fun, laughter, wherever we went. Bad weather on a vacation day? No problem. Steve created rainy day activities such as House Olympics. The House Olympics are where we took on our semi-athletic challenges on our knees and ran around the house. And a quiz that we called the telephone book game. It was opening the telephone book to the doctor's pages and trying to guess their specialties and randomly from the yellow pages. That, though, fell apart a bit after Joan and I were caught cheating. When she would go like this, and I would say, "Eye doctor." Steve didn't go for it. We also made several movies together, of course. Who played the starring role in every one? Steve. One is a wonderful instructional video about ice fishing. Perhaps some of you may have seen it on Netflix. Can you guess what the title is? Fishing with Steve. Over the last several years, Steve, of course, has faced challenge after challenge. They were serious, they were life-threatening, they were painful, but he faced them head-on and with incredible bravery. He also backed away from little challenges, like when we would make a bet with him or a dare, such as eating a French fry off a stranger's table after he had left the restaurant. Just gobbled it right down. And with minimal encouragement, standing up at the end of a piano concert in France and shouting out, "Brava, brava," on a challenge that one of us said, "Would you do that?" In a minute. Let me see where I am. The times we shared with our spouses and children for years, Steve and I also had the joy of sharing fishing together. And the best of times were when we went out on his 2 boats, Freudian Ship and Fish On. Steve, if there's a heaven up there, I hope there's good fishing. Steve was born to be a captain. He was a true leader who led always with the strength of his character, by inspiration, by intelligence, by reasonableness, and by diplomacy. Many people believe that crises create character. I believe that crises reveal the true character that underlies someone, and that's what Steve has all of. He dealt with his struggles with courage, dignity, and even though it was very difficult, that's what he did. You may have noticed that I have some strange attire on that I wanted to show you. The explanation for this is that Steve and I created our own special club called ECOM, the Elite Corps of Men. We were the only members of this, and our motto was 2 good men. We even had our own handshake, which embarrassed our families on more than one occasion, but that was just us and Steve. As a friend, well, let me get to one thing before that. Let me show you what ECOM is. Steve bought this is mine. That was Steve. As a friend, Steve was loyal, trustworthy, empathic, and just the most true blue friend I have ever had. He will be in my heart forever. And my love and sympathy go out to all of Steve's family. Thank you. You were great too.
That'd be the first time I've seen someone strip during a eulogy. Steve would have loved that. Thank you, Ben, and Megan and Peter and Andy for your beautiful words. Steve would be so proud. So a few announcements before we move toward the conclusion of our service. As many of you know, there will be a Shiva gathering immediately following this service. And when we conclude after Kaddish, I would ask that you allow the family in the front row to exit first. They will form a receiving line just outside the sanctuary so that all can greet Suzanne and Steve's children and children-in-law and grandchildren as you make your way into the social hall for the Shiva gathering. The family's prepared a little photo collage that you're invited to admire, and also they invite you to share memories, stories, and remembrances. Send those via email to the family, and they will collate them together to make a book, a tribute book for Steve. And finally, anyone wishing to make a tzedakah contribution in a charitable donation in Steve's memory is invited to direct their generosity to Temple Israel or to the ADL or to Save the Sound, which benefits Long Island Sound, one of Steve's happy places. I'm pleased now to invite all 7 of Steve's grandchildren to the bima and invite Hazel to share a poem.
They are not dead who live in, hearts they leave behind. In those whom they have blessed, they live a life again, and shall live eternal life through the years and grow each day more beautiful, as time recalls the good forgets the rest and proves their immortality.
Please rise. In preparation for the memorial prayer known in our tradition as El Malei Rachamim, I often note that Jewish tradition teaches the duality of body and soul, that our physical presence, our physical being is unique, separate from our qualities, characteristics. In few people do we see the distinction between body and soul more than Steve Eliot. But as has been said many times, as his body broke down, his soul shined ever brighter. That's when we saw the true Steve. His love, his friendship, his sense of humor, his creativity, his generosity. His soul shined so brightly for us. And that is what we remember. We ask God to take extra special loving care of the dear departed soul of Steve Eliot, known by the Hebrew name Shlomo, as we take care of his soul through memories, stories, and love. El Malei Rachamim shochein bamromihim Hamtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina im kedoshihim utahorim kezohar harakia masirihim et nishmat Shlomo shehalach leolamo Baal harachamim yasdirehu beseter kanafav leolamim Vaitzror bitzor hachayim et nishmato Adonai hu nachalato Ve'yanuach bashalom al mishkavo Ve'nomar Amen. In the front row where the family is are cards with the words of mourner's Kaddish printed on them. They are, as Hazel just read so beautifully, an affirmation of the eternal life that each of us will enjoy and each of our loved ones will enjoy through the gift of memory. And so we thank God with these words that offer our appreciation for the blessing of life, the blessings that Steve brought to our lives, and the sweet memories that we have recalled this afternoon. Please join me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayichon v'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. May God grant peace to those who mourn and comfort to those who are bereaved. And we say together, Amen. To the family in the front row, we say, Hamakom yinachem etchem betoch sharav leitzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you amongst all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We offer you our friendship and love.